These players getting ready to rock and roll. Demir Inverter Mir will be underway here in just a minute, and we will be underway. First and foremost, Alan is on your right, Rossum is on your left.
Another slight difference in these lists is because Zach Allen is playing with one copy of the Sanitarium. He also has a Urborg in his deck as well in place of one of the swamps.
All right, we will start with Zach Allen. He's got a Watery Grave. Down to 18 goes Zach, and let's just pass the turn back. Means he's representing an opt here. Choked Estuary, revealing an island here for Rossum. Both these players 4-0. You see the big number 1 next to Zach Allen's name. The reason for that is because he is number 1 on our SCG Tour leaderboard is here as an opt. He'll take a look at that top card. It will stay the top card, so Zach will keep there. Now he'll draw a card for his second turn of the game. This matchup is kind of an interesting one. It makes you wonder how much these players have had the opportunity to play it, as here's a copy of Thought Eraser. And that's going to get hit by a Mystical Dispute, so that one of Mystical Dispute there for Rossum actually being pretty good here in game 1.
Well, I think the reason to have that one main deck Mystical Dispute is this matchup in particular. I mean, there's a lot of blue decks in the format, and there are spots where paying 3 for the mana leak is not the worst, but it's a lot about the mirror match. People assuming that if they can get a window to resolve, particularly a Planeswalker in game number 1, that should be good against a single mana, and Mystical Dispute is awesome in those spots.
And Dig Through Time, Narset, Parter of Veils, an opt, along with a Watery Grave are the cards here for Zach Allen. So he's going to lose his Narset to the powerful discard spell in Thoughtseize. Rossum will, of course, lose 2 life. He falls down to 18. He'll reveal an island again for the second copy of Choked Estuary, and we are going to head back over to ZA, who will draw a card. This is an opt. And that will resolve, so he'll take a look at that top card. It'll become the bottom card, so new card coming here for Zach Allen. That's a Water Grave that enters the battlefield tapped, and we'll head back over to Awesome Rossum. These players, again, off to great starts here at 4-0. It's early here in Indianapolis as far as the tournament is concerned. A lot of rounds left to be played, and there are 801 players in our main event. So a lot of players here. As Zach Allen's going to reveal that Watery Grave is no longer in hand. It's actually Fabled Passage alongside Hero's Downfall. That are the leftovers would Dig Through Time, hitting the bin. The Surveil there from Rossum will put a Drowned Catacomb into the graveyard. Rossum will play that island that he's revealed to Choked Estuary multiple times. And now we're going to head back over to Zach Allen, who very quickly plays a Fabled Passage and begrudgingly passes the turn back over to Jonathan Rossum.
Very good start here for Rossum. Allen on 6 cards on the play, so kind of down in terms of raw card count. It drew some of his most impactful cards in the matchup early on, but Rossum was able to force him to discard them before they could be entered the battlefield or cast. And now you're looking at Allen down to 2 cards in hand, one of which is a Hero's Downfall, which is not the most helpful here. Rossum working with way more cards in hand, way more information as well.
Fabled Passage, the land here for Rossum. So he'll sacrifice Pioneer's most played fetch land because it's really the only one. Get a basic island. And now he'll go to Dig Through Time. So Rossum will del 5, pay 3, which will allow him to take a look at the top 7.
Leaving 1 up here because there's a lot of cards he can hit here to follow up with, specifically Opt and Thoughtseize.
Mm-hmm. So Rossum will take a look at those 7 cards and consult his hand as well, which has 3 cards. So it'll be +2 here in just a moment. That's 1 and 2. Looks like Thoughtseize is among the cards he found. He knows that Zach Allen does have a copy of Hero's Downfall in hand. The other card is, at least for now, a mystery.
But getting a Hero's Downfall is a totally fine thing to do, and if you get something better, then all the better.
And there is a Hero's Downfall. No, excuse me, that's going to be
Drown
the Lock that's going to counter that. Pardon me, because there is nothing to Hero's Downfall on the battlefield. So Zach actually protecting his Hero's Downfall. Now he'll sacrifice that Fabled Passage. Perhaps he found a Jace as his draw step, maybe? Maybe a Narset? Who knows?
Dig Through Time or any Planeswalker would be huge for catching up in this spot. Could undo a lot of the work that Rossum's done thus far.
Well, there you mentioned it. Dig Through Time is the top deck there for Zach Allen. So he's going to delve away 6 cards, pay 2. And now he gets a look at the top 7 cards and take 2 alongside the one card in his hand, which again we know is a Hero's Downfall. So a timely top deck there for Allen to get himself back into this game as it was starting to slip away. Thought Eraser among the cards that he is looking at now off of Dig Through Time.
And with Rossum having just cast Dig Through Time himself, wouldn't be surprised if Allen wanted to take Thought Erasure here, see what's going on, and maybe tag a Planeswalker or some combo piece.
Well, you've got cards headed to the bottom and cards in the hand. And there is Thought Eraser. Take a look at Rossum's hand. He's got an Inverter. He's got Thassa's Oracle, and he's got 2 lands and Drowned Catacomb and a Swamp. So he had the combo rolled up, more or less, and the Inverter is headed to the graveyard.
Really good news there for Allen, though. What you really don't want to see there, especially as you're tapping out, is some sort of card advantage engine, multiple Planeswalkers or a Planeswalker plus a dig. If Rossum's hand doesn't allow him to do anything proactive, he's not doing anything good, and you have more time to draw discard spells to break up the combo.
Rossum looks like he just played his copy of Drowned Catacombs and passed the turn back, so we go back over to Zach Allen. He's going to play a Thoughtseize after playing a Fabled Passage. We know he's got Hero's Downfall. So he tapped his mana, played his Fabled Passage, cast the Thoughtseize, Downfall in hand. Rossum just left with lands. So oddly, I think we're in that situation where both these players want to draw Dig Through Time, and I think Rossum may have just done that.
Yeah. Dig Through Time's going to play here.
Yeah, yes,
this
it
turn
will.
and all subsequent turns.
So here is the powerful instant that many believe should probably be banned in Pioneer. You're seeing its power on display for both of these players right now. Rossum going to take a look at those top 7 cards. It's so good in a style like this because this deck is oftentimes just looking for specific cards.
And keep in mind that Rossum already knows about the Hero's Downfall in Allen's hand from earlier. So I think a likely sequence off of this deck, based on what I saw him shuffle around, yep, he's done it, is a discard spell to get the Hero's Downfall out of hand, plus a Planeswalker to try to pull ahead.
Well, there goes the Downfall. So now we head back over to Allen, who drew a Thoughtseize. So that'll take the Jace. Good draw there from Zach. And now both these players have nothing again. So, Narset off the top, which Rossum knew because of the Surveil off of the Thought Eraser. So now there is Jace, and now Rossum is starting to rebound very well. I think that last card in John's hand is a land. It is. He has triple blue available, so now there is Jace. And so Rossum walked into the turn with a land. And now he's going to walk out of it with a lot more than that.
2 personal Howling Minds.
Yes, he does. So you see Rossum's going to take a look at Zach Allen's graveyard to see who he wants to mill. These games can be swingy. You've seen timely discard spells from both players. But at the end of the day, Rossum with the better top deck, thanks to Surveil protecting the Narset on top of his deck. He'll mill Fatal Push and Jace. He'll draw a card. He's played his land and is tapped out for the turn. So if you're Zach Allen, you got to try to match this, and you better do it quickly, as it won't take long for Rossum to pull ahead in this game if he isn't already very far ahead. There is Thassa's Oracle. Going to take a look at the top couple of cards because of Devotion. One's going to very quickly go on top. The other is going to go to the bottom. Allen knows what his draw step is going to be for the next turn. I believe it's a Dig Through Time that's rolled up on top there as we head back over to young John Rossum.
Really the only way for him to pull back up at this point, even just a single Planeswalker, I don't think would be enough. You need to dig into multiple big hits to catch up if you're Allen.
Has Rossum found a copy of Inverter? It is always, I think, in a weird way when you're playing this deck, it is uncomfortable to exile your library and say, I've only got these resources to work with. And I think that's why John's taking a long look over at his graveyard to say, okay, what do I have to work with over here? All right, I know exactly what those cards are. I've got Narset. I've got Jace, I believe, a Dig Through Time, a Thought Eraser, and it looks like a Fatal Push as well. So he knows exactly the tools he has that's hiding out down here.
Yeah, part of the reason to give some pause there is that Rossum's position is so commanding that there's really no reason to take any major risks. You would have to think that you're pretty much cinched up to win from this spot to be willing to play the Inverter here. Because if the game was just going kind of on its normal pace, very hard to lose with 2 Planeswalkers and the rest of your resources.
Rossum only 5 cards left in his deck. So he's going to he's going to mill Zach Allen 2 cards. That top card was Dig Through Time, so that was going to be Zach's draw step. It's gone now. Rossum is down to 4 cards. Rossum will play a Watery Grave that enters the battlefield tapped, keeping him at 18 life. And now we'll head back over to Zach. Not sure Allen's best draw step in a situation like this, but I'm sure he knows what it is, and he's hoping to find it, whatever it is.
I mean, I guess it's probably Downfall. I think you got to answer the Jace.
All right, well, he wants to go to Narset, so.
I don't know. He's getting hit from so many angles at this point.
He'll take a look at the top handful of cards. Inverter of Truth is among those cards. But he's going to select Dig Through Time, as he, of course, cannot select Inverter off of Narset. Now he'll sacrifice the Fabled Passage, presumably to get a basic island, yes, to turn on the Dig. And perhaps Dig gets him back into this game. But Rossum might be able to win on just the very next turn, given his draw step and the Planeswalker activations.
It was really pretty revealing there that Rossum elected not to activate Narset. I think that means he's got a deterministic kill rolled up next turn and doesn't want to muck around with his deck at all.
There is Dig Through Time in the main phase. Rossum says that's totally fine. We're going to take a look at the top 7 cards. Will Zach Allen. Both these players have resolved multiple copies of the incredibly powerful blue instant. Allen will take 2 cards with him, but I think it might be the last 2 cards that he sees here in this particular game.
Yeah, Rossum willing to, ostensibly take a risk by casting the Inverter and not activating the Narset to mean he's got to have it all rolled up here. And even if Allen, resolves the Dig Through Time and finds some goodies, he can't really follow up with anything this turn, and I'd be surprised if he gets another one.
Rossum's going to minus his Narset. He knows these cards. Fatal Push, gimme, gimme, gimme.
And this is just to get 1 card out of the deck, and now Jace can do the rest.
Make sure the coast is clear. Maybe pick up some information as well. Zach has the combo in quotes rolled up. Inverter to the graveyard. Inverter's going to kill Narset. And now Rossum says, I will plus Jace. Now that your Narset's off the battlefield, mill myself 2 cards, try to draw a card. I can't, so I win. And that's exactly what Jonathan Rossum does do. He wins game number 1 over the number 1 player here on the SCG Tour in 2020, Zach Allen, as the Dimir Inverter mirror goes to our player on the left in Jonathan Rossum to kick things off. Now, as we know, these deck lists are rather similar. Let's get an idea of what these players are working with in their sideboard, see what similarities and differences they do have. Maybe one player can get a bit of an advantage as we start here with Zach Allen, who's got 3 Mystical Dispute, 2 Jace Friends Prodigy, 2 Kalidas Trader of Get, looking to get a little help against Mono Red with that cards, 2 Tyrant Scorn, and he's got 6 one-ofs and Hero's Downfall, Ashiok Nightmare Muse, Damping Sphere of Legion's End, Negate, and Cry of the Carnarians.
So I think there's an open question about how reactive you want to be in this kind of matchup when there's so many discard spells. Sitting there with counter spells and removal, even if they're good in theory, often doesn't go the right way because the information that your opponent gains that allows them to play around it, and they can just take it out of your hand in spots where it's going to be good. That said, I still think the Hero's Downfall and the Negate are above board here to bring in. I like the additional copies of Jace Friends Prodigy. I think the Mystical Disputes are fine here as well.
We go to Jonathan Rossum's side of things, too. His sideboard a little bit different. 3 Legion's End, 2 Jace Friends Prodigy, so they both have that in common. Mystical Disputes, Rossum's got 2 in his sideboard, where Zach has 3 in his. A Disfigure, a Cast Down, a Dampening Sphere, a Thassa's Oracle, a Hero's Downfall, and then some Planeswalkers here in Liliana the Last Hope, Narset Parter of Veils, and then a Kalidas, where Rossum has 1. Allen has 2.
I think you're going to see the Narset come in here, the additional copy of Hero's Downfall, and the Mystical Disputes along with the Jace Friends Prodigies.
Well, there are the options there for both players. You will note that neither player has Pack Rat this weekend. Maybe a little bit surprising there, Patrick. That was a kind of a mirror breaker that I know many players went to a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I saw sort of mixed reviews about Pack Rat. I think the amount of time and the commitment of resources it took to get to a point where it was lethal or at least threatening was often slower than just trying to do the combo. And if you're leaving up 3 mana to try to make a rat, that comes at the expense of, if you're using any sort of negates or mystical disputes or any reaction at all, then you're not leveraging the Pack Rat. So I think there's a blend of You know, it's a little bit on the slow side, and there are concerns about if you go down that road, is it just easier for your opponent to race and combo you out?
Well, no pack rats here. We'll see if there are any for our Dimir Inverter players. But for now, we want to let you know a place where you can get pack rat.
Oh, yeah.
You can get it on the cheap if you've got a SCG Premium membership for just $7.99 per month. You receive awesome and instant access to exclusive content. Like, if you were hanging out on the website last week, Zach Allen did an awesome article about his win at SCG Philadelphia. We got Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa's World Championship 26 winning recap. Autumn Burchett's breaking down Teamer Reclamation, which they use to make top 8 at Worlds. You can also get 5% off of sealed products, 10% off of singles, 15% off of supplies. Go to StarCityGames.com/premium. Sign up today and maybe even read Sullivan's Satchel.
$7.99, yo. We're not talking about that much money, especially if you buy stuff off the website.
Get that on the cheap, too.
That 10% sale we're talking about that's going on right now, you get that all the time. There's no promo. You just have that.
Let's learn more about Johnny Rossum, shall we? The young man from Spencer, Massachusetts. He played a lot of opens last year, and unfortunately for him, he did not have much success with only one open top 8. Now, it was a win, team open win in Dallas, if memory does serve. But for Rossum, you see the all-time statistics with 12 open top 8s and 2 wins, 1 invitational top 8 as well. He had high hopes for last year, especially when we announced that the Players' Championship was coming back, but was unable to convert last year. But I'm thinking we're going to see a good bounce back year for Rossum.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has their year that it's theirs and their year that it's not.
Yes.
Happens. He's back. He's playing. He's engaged. 4-0 right now. And navigated that mirror match. I mean, you can see the speed with which he played, even though it was a fairly complicated setup there in the last couple of turns. Played that very fast. That had the look of someone who has gotten the reps in with this deck and with the mirror match and took game number 1 against, I would guess, one of the best players in the entire room at navigating a blue mirror, even if it's a little bit different than what he usually does, in Zach Allen.
This is true. We got the opportunity to watch Zach Allen put on a masterclass in the finals of Philadelphia about what matters and what doesn't, and that Azorius control mirror in our team-constructed open. Of course, he was playing standard then. Allen identifying, much like Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa, Andre Strosky, and many in that check house that helped prepare PVDDR to his Worlds win. That Castle Ardenvale, very important to winning those Azorius control mirrors. So I agree with you. Zach Allen knows his way around a blue mirror to be sure. And we'll see if he's able to tie things up here in game number 2 against Rossum in this Dimir Inverter mirror. Both these players going to start things off here with a Watery Grave. And now here's Thoughtseize. Response will be an opt. So Zach will take a look at the top card.
Indicating a light land hand if he thought that there's any chance that Rossum would take an opt with Thoughtseize.
Well, he drew an island off of the opt, so this should be a little bit interesting. We'll learn right away if that is true or false, and it appears to be relatively true. You see the hand there with Dig Through Time, Ashiok Nightmare Muse, Jace Wielder of Mysteries, and Mystical Dispute. So Allen's hand, pretty darn expensive, though not light on power.
Did Zach make that Ashiok like at his house? Where's that from?
It's a promo.
It's a promo?
Yeah, I think it's in the collector boosters.
Ah, yes, okay.
Did he make it at his house?
Is that a local print job?
Alterist in his spare time? Tough hand to pick a hole through here. Mystical Dispute is, I think, the easiest card to take. But the other 3 cards, these Planeswalkers and Dig, we know how powerful Dig Through Time is.
Well, you got time with those.
Sure.
Mystical Dispute is the one where Allen might be able to leverage that in the short term. He doesn't have that much mana, and you, if you're Ross's position, presumably have other counter spells, other discard spells to follow up with, so you can wait on the less time-sensitive cards, even if they're more powerful.
Allen going to cycle Fetid Pools. And now he'll draw.
Classic worried about being screwed to worrying about being flooded.
Opt
on turn 1, now cycle Fetid Pools on turn 2.
Here comes Thoughtseize. Mystical Dispute, Hero's Downfall. Looks like Thought Erasure. Along with Fabled Passage and an island, Mystical Dispute's got to go. So there goes the counterspell to the graveyard. Both players have selected that with their discard spells. Allen will record the contents. We know he's got a land to play, or at least I'm pretty sure he does. There's a basic island. Pass the turn back over to Awesome Rossum. And we'll see what Jonathan wants to do this turn.
If Alan cycled the pools, he's got to assume that Alan's ready to go with land number 4 next turn.
One would think. There's your basic island for Rossum. So both players with 3 lands on the battlefield. Again, we know Rossum has Hero's Downfall in hand. He's thinking about maybe playing something right now.
Well, I think the concern is if you play a Thought Erasure and Alan has drawn a Mystical Dispute or a Negate, then he gets to play his Planeswalker in the clear, and now you're behind. If you pass the turn, Alan's likely to play one of his Planeswalkers. You answer it with Hero's Downfall, and then the Mystical Dispute the Thought Erasure resolves even if there's a Mystical Dispute in hand.
Ah, okay, so here we go. Cycle-Fetid pools need to peel the 4th land.
Classic.
Which is what I thought might happen. Ashiok, Jace, Dig Through Time. Those have been there from the start. Thought Eraser in hand right now. You know he's peeling off.
Well, if you take anything but Dig, now Alan gets to Dig.
Correct.
If you take Dig...
4 cards. So that's...
Oh, sorry. No, he's still off it. He's still off.
Sorry,
He's still short 1. Sorry.
He can untap and cast Dig.
Right.
There's that. Yeah, the tough thing here is that, I want to take Thought Eraser because it's actually just kind of good right now for Alan to cast next turn. Now, there are plenty of cards that Alan can draw that are horrible. You know, Inverter's not good right now.
Yeah, any of the creatures, really bad.
I've seen worse draw steps than Opt. Take a look at that top card.
Yeah, Opt is a big hit there because it's just a good look at a land plus another card for Dig.
And now here's Fabled Passage. See if Alan wants to go get a basic swamp here as opposed to an island, and he will. Now, he does have 6 cards in the graveyard, so what Zach can do here is he can play Dig Through Time with the Watergrave and the island, leaving up a swamp to find a Thoughtseize and resolve a Thoughtseize if he finds one.
Yes. He's got a lot of good shots at something big here. And even if he misses, then he gets just to take 2 meaty cards and play on. But I like getting the Dig here because there's just it's so likely that Rossum has an answer to a Planeswalker that just playing your Jason and getting 1 card for your trouble, that's not as high as you can shoot.
All right, going to pass that turn back over to Rossum, who's very quickly going to play a Fabled Passage, sacrifice that, and keep humming along as he gets himself a basic island. Well, looks like Rossum might have a Planeswalker to play. Yep, he's got his Jace. So he's first on the battlefield with the Planeswalker. He's going to plus his Jace, mill Inverter, and Thought Erasure. Draw a card. Picked up, it looked like a Thoughtseize. Now we're going to head back Zach Allen's way. So he's behind in the Planeswalker race, at least for right now. There's land 5, Ashiok number 1. Ashiok Nightmare Muse is going to come down and handle Jace with that recoil effect. There goes Opt. So we're going to head back over to Rossum. Now Zach has pulled ahead in this Planeswalker race. Remember that Ashiok is in Zach's sideboard. You have to imagine it's exactly for this matchup. And yes, Rossum does have a copy of Hero's Downfall in hand to take care of it, but then Alan can go towards Jace the following turn.
Right. Alan's kind of got a good rhythm on this game here where he's putting a burden on Rossum to tap out and answer stuff on his own turn, which gives Alan another opportunity to land something and then just draw a card or get a recoil for his trouble. All those exchanges pull him a little bit ahead, and if Rossum ever fails the test, if he doesn't have an answer to the Planeswalker or whatever the card is, then Alan pulls way ahead.
There you do see Ashiok Nightmare Muse. That -3 ability was return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, and that player exiles a card from their hand. But it looks like Rossum has elected to go back towards Jace. So Ashiok does have the ability to create a 2/3 blue and black Nightmare creature token. Whenever this creature attacks or blocks, each opponent exiles the top 2 cards of their library. So Now the big question, did we bring our Nightmare tokens?
Good question.
Right?
Does not get the most usage.
It does not. Mill a couple cards and draw a card, will Zach Allen. 2-1 Planeswalker advantage for the #1 player on the SD Tour through 4 events here in 2020, though down a game. Oh, we do have the Nightmare. Well done.
Got it all.
Everyone's still employed here on the SCG Tour.
Thank God. Zach Allen, maybe the only person with an Ashiok in the room.
That may be true. That may be true. Drowned Catacomb is the land for the turn.
You know how beatdown players, they've always got the, oh, you know what, like, mopey 2-mana creature is actually good right now for X, Y, and Z reasons?
Yeah.
I think Allen's probably got the same sort of cheat sheet, but for 5-mana Planeswalkers.
Oh, almost assuredly. He knows when Sarkin the Mad's good.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's got all that covered.
Nixilis.
Yep.
Nope. No, Allen. It's Rossum gets
yeah.
to draw.
Rossum gets to draw. Zach is so used to milling himself and
Yeah.
drawing a card. Got to slow himself down there. Rossum tapping 3 mana now. Perhaps he's going to Narset. He is. So there is that powerful Planeswalker. Starts on 5. Will the elevator go down? We'll start with the Hero's Downfall. Take care of Ashiok. Goodbye. And it looks like just past the turn. So we'll head back over to Allen. Remember, Allen's got that 2-3 on the battlefield. That can start going after some stuff. But for now, he's thinking about using Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. But Jace wouldn't draw a card. Now here's Narset. Okay.
Also, nice sequencing there from Rossum. Maybe sequencing isn't quite the right word. But if you're only going to get one activation out of this Narset because it's about to be it's going to be attacked by a 2-3, it's better to wait for your turn where whatever card you take cannot be hit by a discard spell.
Sure. Here comes Ashiok's token. Excuse me, that Nightmare token. So, 2 cards are exiled. One of them is Dig Through Time. And now Ashiok does fall down to 3. And now it'll be Thoughtseize that bites the dust.
And now Rossum might get paid off with a clean shot at a better card than Thoughtseize, which would not have been possible if he just did the reflexive thing and minus his Narset.
Plus here for Zach, he's going to mill Rossum 2 cards. Remember, he doesn't get to draw a card because of the Narset that is on the battlefield, so we're heading back Rossum's way. Rossum has the same predicament, though, in that Zach Allen has a Narset on the battlefield, so his Jace won't not yield him, an additional card. Narset's going to find a Narset, though.
Again, a lot of the subtle stuff that's going on with Rossum's play right now, really emblematic of someone who's played a lot of games.
Rossum is going to pack it up and pack it in right away, as that other copy of Narset was not going to resolve, which means that Zach gets to kill the Narset that's on the battlefield and start drawing cards with his Jace. And Narset is very, very important in these games, especially when the battlefield does look like that. Rossum knows that, and he immediately packs it up and says, you know what? We got about 21 minutes left for game number 3. With all the shuffling that's involved, let's call it 18 minutes, and I want every minute to try to win this third game.
That could also be part of the reasoning behind Ashiok. It's really good to have Planeswalkers in this sort of matchup where the power is not coming from the phrase draw a card, because the Narset stuff is so low opportunity cost. It's just sort of ambiently on the battlefield a lot. So things that can do a lot of heavy lifting in a generic control matchup that don't say draw a card on them are at a premium here. Even though the Ashiok wasn't ultimately involved at the end of the game when Allen won, a lot of value to be gained there by the recoil. The 2-3 was important. And as we spoke about that card being for this matchup, part of it is it plays very well against a Narset as well.
Well, game number 3 going to be underway here between these two players in just a moment, but we're going to very quickly let you do the little hype machine for your mailbag, my friend. The Satchel, everybody.
Yeah, so every week we've been cranking out these columns answering your questions. A couple ways you can reach out to me. The most obvious and least intrusive. Head over to mailbag@sarcygames.com and send that along. I have, at least for the time being, opened up my DMs on Twitter as well, over at Basic Mountain.
Oh, baby.
They are flooded.
Slide right in.
You can slide on in right now. Send me a message. If you send me an inappropriate photo, I'm just going to tweet it to my tens of thousands of followers. So use some discretion. But If you have an earnest question in good faith, you can head over to my DMs as well. If you would like the question to remain anonymous, that is totally fine. You can put that in there as well. Most of you want to glom onto my celebrity a little bit, so I assume that won't be the case. But again, anonymous is fine over at mailbag@starcitygames.com or over on Twitter @BasicBowden.
There it is. Great shilling job there, my friend. Great shilling job. These players take a look at their opening hands. We'll see if they're going to keep these opening hands in just a moment. Zach Allen does not look thrilled with what he's looking at. We'll see, though, as he will be on
2 messages
draw.
Already.
Slid right in?
Just already people
Wow, that's
sliding
quick.
in. Low friction.
The power of Twitter right there, in case
Yeah.
you don't think social media works. Proof that it does. Zach's going to send it back, and while he does send it back, we'll learn more about him. Of course, he's leading things right now on the SCG Tour. 71 SCG points, killing it through 4 open weekends, 2 wins, and then, of course, that classic one when we were in Richmond with Azorius Control and Standard. The 30-year-old from Farmington Hills, Michigan, a member of Team RIW. He played 19 Opens last year. Top 8 at 5 of them. That win was elusive, but not this year. He's gotten 2. 8 Open top 8s all time, and he believes, which might be up for debate, sriracha is the best condiment in existence and loves spicy food. Patrick, I got to ask now, what's your favorite condiment? Do not say ketchup.
Oh, it's mustard.
Okay. Now, are we just a yellow mustard? Are we a spicy brown?
I celebrate all of them besides honey Dijon. Not for me.
Too sweet?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I like that. I like the. I don't know what's the word you. It's not tart, but the. It's not spicy. It's like the
Is it tang?
tang. Right. I kind of prefer that, but I like a yellow mustard too.
Okay.
I celebrate them all besides the honey. Don't like the honey so much.
How about a little gray poupon?
Into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Into it.
All right. I'd say mustard a very, very underranked condiment
Extremely.
because there's a wide array of mustards that you can really dive into.
You know the kind of more explicitly spicy stuff you can get from Chinese restaurants?
I love that.
I just eat that.
Okay, I don't do that because it hurts my nose. But you can get it from Chinese restaurants along with like their barbecue pork or whatever that you're supposed to dip it
No,
into.
I'll just eat the mustard.
That
like,
is
after the meal's
very
over.
strange.
Yeah.
That is very strange. But
Speaking of, we were eating. My family was eating sushi, and my 2-year-old, he's into the avocado. He's
Okay.
into the cucumber.
Okay.
And he sees another green thing on the plate, which is wasabi,
That's
and
wasabi.
goes to take a handful of it.
You have to stop
and
that as a parent.
within a split second of it getting into his mouth.
Cannot have that happen. You cannot have that happen. Good say. That's good parenting right there. Both players leading with choked estuary. Who says it doesn't enter the battlefield on tap?
I know.
Bang!
Ross has been on fire. That's 4 for 4.
That's right.
You
Show
think
me
it's
that
not,
island.
you think it's not his weekend?
Yeah. Choke estuary is just flying onto the battlefield.
Just unchoked estuaries all over the place. I've never seen anything like it. It's just showing off.
Watergrave enters the battlefield tap there for Zach Allen. So both players, no action to start. We'll see discard spells soon enough, I'm sure.
Most of these decks play 2. Rossum's on 3.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
he
he's
must
just-
be.
yeah.
He must be very lucky.
Feeling it.
Here is a discard spell in Thought Erasure, and now we're gonna have a little Mystic dispute fight, and now we'll get a good look at Zach Allen's hand. Dig through time. Jace, Builder of Mystery. That Hero's Downfall, along with the Drowned Catacombs and a Swamp. Looks like that's the kind of fight that Jonathan Rossum picked on purpose, knowing he was going to win it.
Well, he didn't do anything on turn 2, and it wouldn't surprise me if he kind of had this sequence rolled up where he wanted to for sure you want to resolve the Thought Erasure, and then post-board, Allen's got some Mystical Disputes or Spell Pierces or whatever's going on over there. You want to be able to win that fight. So wait till you have 3 mana.
Rossum is going to surveil his Narset into the graveyard, and we're going to head back over to Zach Allen now as he picks up the pieces, lost his Dig Through Time. Zach will draw a card. He will obviously play a Narset off the top of the deck, as he'll now minus. It might be Rossum's weekend with this Dimir Inverter deck, but thus far it's been Zach Allen's year. 2 opened wins, a classic win, and controls looking good in all formats.
How good was War of the Spark for Zach Allen? How good of a set was that for Zach Allen specifically?
Rossum is going to Hero's Downfall. These are not the kind of exchanges
That
you would
ain't
like to
it.
make.
I mean, you got to do it, right?
Of course you got to do it. Now you head back to Zach Allen.
This is another Planeswalker coming. We just got another one coming.
Could be Jace time. He did pick up a copy of Thoughtseize.
Yep.
But yeah, let's go. Let's go. Jace Wielder Mysteries. From War of the Spark. 2 cards headed to the graveyard. 1 card coming to the grip. Going to pass that turn back. Over to Rossum we go. Does Rossum have another answer?
Yeah, the War of the Spark ad should have just been Zach Allen being like, you're going to want like cases of this set.
We should have just
Trust me.
We should have just had Zach Allen holding up boxes for all the graphics.
Are you kidding me? Every rare is good,
Yeah.
and a lot of the uncommons are good too. There's no misses in this product for me.
Dig through time here for Rossum on the main phase while Zach Allen is tapped out. He'll take a look at the top 7, take 2 with him. We saw how powerful this card was in game number 1 for both players, but advantage to Rossum in game 1 as he was able to put together the combo kill with Inverter and Jace Wielder of Mysteries. This game, he's behind.
Like, you know what set was really good for me?
Hold on. Is it recent?
Not particularly.
Tempest.
Not that far ago.
Okay.
Long ago.
Hold on. Zendikar.
Zendikar is the answer.
Got it.
Zendikar was a lot of wins.
Yeah. Fabled Passage headed away.
Like
Goblin Guide among others.
You already don't want to give me Aaron Mason and Scalding Tarn. That's already playing with fire.
Sure.
Burst Lightning?
Plated Geopede.
Plated Geopede?
Yeah, that's a lot of damage.
Teetering Peaks?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's a lot. It was a lot for me.
Here comes Thoughtseize. Take a look, Skipoo. Dig through time, Inverters, plural, and a Thassa's Oracle.
War of the Spark, more powerful probably than those cards.
I'm inclined to agree. Zach Allen going to poke a hole. He says, give me that dig through time. I think I can beat Inverter plus Thassa's Oracle. Don't want to lose to the 1-2 punch, of course, but Zach Allen does know that it's coming. As you see Rossum's hand now face up. Well, Zach may or may not record the contents, depending, on the conversation these two players do have. And then we'll see what comes next here for Zach. Up goes Jace. Mill Rossum to mill a Jace Vryn's Prodigy and a Fabled Passage. And then Zach will draw a card.
I'm guessing in this spot, part of what you want to be doing when you're looking at these mill battles and why choose one play or the other, part of it is if Rossum is on the combo and nothing else, you want to make his graveyard and then eventually his deck as large as possible to give yourself the maximum amount of cushion against him being able to combo out one turn. You leave him at 2 cards in the graveyard, he just can go bang bang. You get him to 4 cards or 6 cards, and now he's got to not only resolve multiple things, but sort of carry it over the course of several turns, and that's much harder to do.
It'll be an opt on the end step here for ZA. Top card goes to the bottom. Now he'll draw a card. He'll untap those 2 lands and draw a card for his turn. Of course, he will assess how he wants to use his Jace. So the elevator's going up to 7. 2 cards are headed to the graveyard there for Rossum in Jason Watery Grave. Allen will draw a card. It looks like he picked up a Watery Grave of his own. And pardon me, it's a Drowned Catacombs. They do look similar, but they do similar things. So we're going to head back over to Rossum now. As Zach Allen is really starting to dig in. This is where he is at home. Mana up, reactive spells in hand.
Personal Howling Mine humming.
That's correct. This is where he loves to be. Here is Narset. Will that resolve? Rossum does have 3 mana available to pay for Mystical Dispute. But Drown in the Lock is going to take care of that. And Drown in the Lock is the card that some players feel very strongly about in this deck. Others feel that it just should not be here at all. It's looked pretty good for Zach Allen in this matchup.
Drown in the Lock, also another incentive to be milling Rossum instead of yourself.
Also true. Looks like Jace's plural have just gone to the graveyard. Zach Allen draws another card from his Planeswalker. There is Choked Estuary. You better believe it's untapped, given where we are in this game. And now there is Jace Vryn's Prodigy. That'll resolve, and we are going to head back over to young Jonathan Rossum, who is in some serious trouble now, folks. Again, remember, Rossum does have Inverters, plural, in hand, and he'll start with this one. He's also got Thassa's Oracle. Zach Allen is going to cast Mystical Dispute the hard way to take care of the Inverter. And that's it. Rossum's going to tap out. He's beat, and he knows it. Zach Allen going to win this game and match over Jonathan Rossum 2-1. Number 1 on your Season 1 and a Player of the Year SCG Tour leaderboard for 2020. is 5-0, and if this is the best deck in the format, then Zach Allen is going to have a good tournament.
Yeah, and that Narset